My name is Rashad, and today I'm going to be teaching you about responsive design. So, if you're not familiar with responsive design, basically think about all the devices that you use every day. If you have a tablet or a cell phone or a desktop computer, all those different devices have different resolutions and screen sizes, and there's different obstacles that you would need to evaluate if you want to make a product for each and every one of those devices. And it's becoming more and more important because people have more and more types of devices. And, for example, if you have a really big screen television, for some reason you might want to use someone's product. Like for example, Netflix is a good example of a product where people expect it to be on all types of screens. They want to see it on their cell phone, they want to see it on their big screen TV for sure, and they want almost the exact same experience. So we're going to talk about the different tactics for you to accomplish that. Responsive design has a few different principles inside of it. One of them is the mobile first approach, which is, for me, I would say the only way to go. You also have to understand about grids. Grids are basically tools used in different frameworks that you can help you make sure that your website or application is responsive. Then you also have cross-browser capability. So it's not just about devices. You also have to make sure that your applications and websites can work on different browsers. That may be something that you don't think too much about, but pretty sure if you've ever went over to Firefox or Safari, and you could definitely tell there are differences, but obviously they do a good job to make sure you don't see them too much. If you saw them too much, and that means something's wrong. But it's important for you if you're a developer, particularly a front end developer, that you make applications and experiences that are consistent on browsers and devices. So I want to bring up the mobile first approach. What we're talking about with this is the idea is to prioritize the smaller screens first. It's not always the funnest thing to do because as a designer or developer, sometimes it's fun to have all that extra real estate, and you can kind of get carried away using that. But what you got to understand is, in the end, everything is going to need to work on that smaller screen. So if you start with that first, that avoids a lot of chunking down a whole bunch of information later on, and it makes it much easier for you to develop things. And if you want to add that information and stuff for your user later, it's fine. You could do that, but first off, you need to prioritize what's important. So what you're looking at right now is a responsive website. I can tell that this has been done with the mobile first approach because of how very particular they are about the information that they're showing to the viewer. What I'm also showing you here is basically what happens to the responsive site as it goes into different widths. And as you can see now, it's in the mobile view. So this is the view you would see if it was on a cell phone. And it almost looks exactly the same as it did when it was the desktop width. So the important thing to see with that is that if you do something with a mobile first approach, and you do it throughout to the desktop view, sites can still seem kind of really simple and not use up too much space, but in the end, you're getting the data that you need. You're getting the information that you need. That's what's important. I'm not going to go into how you go about making something mobile first. Just want you to understand how important it is. It really makes a difference in what type of site that you're going to have when you complete it. But I also want to go into what graceful degradation is. Basically, what you saw before is me basically shrinking the screen and making basically the window for the website smaller. So the website just adapted to just about every different width and size. To accomplish that is actually a lot more work than it may seem, and that's the beauty of it. Responsive design is an art form, and it really prides itself on accomplishing things that people take for granted. So to create this effect of graceful degradation, one of the best tools to use is media queries. So this right here, I'm showing you an example of a media query. So how media queries work is it pretty much is telling the application what to do when it hits certain widths and certain breakpoints. So here's also an example of media queries in action. As you can see, the colors changing from green to blue. So I want to also go over grids. So basically, grids are usually accompanied with a framework, and the point of grids are just tools for you to develop responsive experiences with your sites and applications. And usually, they have very modular way of going about things, and they're set up so a lot of different people can work on one project and kind of use the same tools and stuff like that. So at first, the grids could be pretty intimidating in how they look, but if once you get accompanied with how they work, and you'll see that down the line they're really beneficial and they're actually not that complicated. So I'm going to show you an example of Bootstrap and their grid system. Okay, so this is Bootstrap's documentation. Basically goes over how their grid system works. It could seem like a lot, so the gist of it is basically it works like Lego blocks that are built to change with the width, as long as the width of the screen, as long as you set it up to change. So take a look at this and try some stuff out with it. And I also want to show you some stuff about developer tools here. So developer tools, when you press inspect on the page, you can see the skeleton of the page, all the stuff in the background that's going on. So right here, you could make set it up so you could look at different mobile phones. Basically, see, okay, this is iPhone 5 right here. As you can see, iPhone 5 is a little different from the Galaxy phone. Even see, all mobile phones are different too. So it's something that you could look at in this, even though this isn't perfectly accurate, and that's something you need to be aware of. But this is a good tool for you to help with your responsive design. To clarify what you just saw, just open up the developer tools in that browser. So I usually do it in Chrome, and how it works is in Mac, you double click somewhere on your website, and you bring up the inspect, and then you get the opportunity to go on developer tools, which lets you see all the happenings in a website in the background. It's a pretty cool tool, and you should definitely you basically kind of have to use it for responsive design, and also just how deep just to go into how deep responsive design can be. Some people have apps that will allow you to view your applications and your websites on the phone as you're building it, which is a really good tool for strengthening user experience. But to conclude, I just want to hopefully get you a primer for responsive design. I wasn't gonna. It wasn't possible for me to teach you everything about responsive design in a matter of 10 or 20 minutes. It's the art form, and it's something that's going to constantly change. You know, it's no future proofing for responsive design because devices that we're constantly coming out with new devices, and that means there's new obstacles, and that's why it's a job. That's why being a front end developer is a job that pays well. You're going to get new obstacles constantly. So hopefully you got something out of this. I'm signing off. My name is Rashad. I plan on continuing to develop videos about things of this nature, and thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate it.